Right, hello everybody. Minis and Motorbikes this week. We've got a very special guest, Jeremy Aston-Phillips. Jap to his friends, I have to call him Jeremy. Now, we want to know a bit about you first, how you all started, how you got to this sort of point, really, more than anything.
Okay.
What sort of happened along the way to get to this point?
To get to this point, so how I got into all of this in the first place, that happened back at school. I was at school with a complete lunatic called Henry Hope Frost, and we got up to an awful lot of bad behaviour together, did very little work.
Don't believe that for a second.
And spent most of our time talking about motor racing. And that's when the seed was sown. I have actually got a photograph of me very, very small sitting in a little pedal racing car, so maybe that's where it started.
All right, yeah. I was a bit the same actually. Yeah. Hemsby, my mum and dad had one of these little Austin ones, you know.
I know, this was like a proper Formula car.
Was it?
Yeah. No. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Oh yeah, send it to us. We can put it up on the thing. Embarrass you totally.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think I'm completely naked in it, but you can only see from the sort of waist.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it'd be all right. Yeah. So yeah, that's when it all started, was at school, and then getting driving license. Obviously, what do you do when you buy your first car? Make it louder. I had no idea about the engineering side of everything, but I was fascinated about taking things apart and putting them back together again and seeing how everything worked. And I was always really done that sort of thing.
Yeah. So what was the first car you had?
Was a 1.3 litre Mark 1 Golf in baby shit brown.
Oh.
Quality. Yeah. Absolute quality. Yeah.
So did you progress to a GTI later on?
I did, yeah. The next car afterwards was a 1.6 GTI, which I had for ages, and built it into a car that I did a sort of bit of buggering about with, sort of silly stuff, put a cage in it, put loud exhaust on it, and and then ended up in a field more than once. But yeah, those were the early days, which was great, and I just loved getting my hands dirty and wanted to learn more about how things worked. And I actually got a job working at Silverstone with the great Spike Anderson on 240Z Datsuns, who I was in touch with actually only a couple of weeks ago.
Oh wow.
And just got thrown at the deep end. Had no qualifications, didn't know anything about it, and was just like a sponge, and learnt and loved it. I was first there in the morning, last to leave at night. Yeah,
that's a good sign.
Yeah.
So did you learn mechanical there, or was it?
I learnt mechanical there, and this was just before the sort of first big recession, where everybody started to tighten their belts up, and we had a big chat, and I wasn't able to sort of carry myself in so much as, oh, can you do that and can you do that? I didn't know what else to do, so we all agreed that what I really needed to do was go off to college and learn how to do it properly. So I went off to college and learned how to do things properly. Was that a motorsport college, was it? Or
no,
this was before mechanical? This was before motorsport colleges sort of existed. So I did BTEC in motor vehicle engineering, and I loved it. It was really good fun, what I wanted to do, I didn't like the college environment. I didn't like the sort of academic side of it. I wanted to get out there and get my hands dirty, and then ended up working in a German car specialist independent workshop, servicing German cars. So
whereabouts was this?
That was in Wiltshire.
Wiltshire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we had lots of, just outside Marlborough, and great catchment area. Lots of people had a new car that went off to the main dealer, and then a second car that we looked after. And we had lots of different cars. But we called ourselves the German engineering company, but we'd service just about anything, and it was great, and it was really, really good fun.
So the interest in motorsport was still there. So what was your thing then? Was it touring cars? Was it rally? Was it?
My thing was I followed the touring cars up to sort of the mid '90s.
So that'd be Soper. I'm trying to think. Cleland, obviously, Harvey, Bristow. Someone mentioned Bristow the other day. No one's seen or heard of sight of him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Rouse was
Frank
out there.
Sittner. I mean, he was a
absolutely. My dream car was an M3. I always wanted
they looked
an
lovely,
M3.
didn't they, with those wings?
It's just fantastic. E30 M3, absolutely, that's what I wanted. And I did actually buy one and had it for a very short period of time. Driving a left-hand drive car in this country when it was quite an expensive car, and so I got rid of that and bought an Integrale, which was also left-hand drive.
There were a few that were factory right-hand drive, weren't they? But they were astronomical, weren't they?
There were a few, yes. There were a few right-hand drive. The M3s or the Integrales?
Integrales, yeah.
Yeah, they put the Strada steering rack in there, I think.
That's right,
and flipped it over. Yeah,
they were they're crazy,
phenomenal car, absolutely phenomenal.
I'd have one now if I'd got the chance.
Yeah. We have a rule at home that I'm not allowed to talk about cars that I used to own, because it just pisses me off. It's like, how much did I? Oh God, I wish I hadn't sold that car. I wish I hadn't sold that car.
I'd like a Metro 6R4. That's the one I'd like. That's not road or anything. It's just a car, and it's just the car as far as I was concerned.
Oh, awesome.
I had Jonathan Gates take me out in one once because they bought all the ones that were left over. Jonathan did, I think, unbeknown to his dad, from what I can remember. And we happened to be looking at cars coming from college, and popped into there, and he was there, and we were looking, and he took me out in this thing, and it was just phenomenal. We had the earphones on, and and the noise was just
amazing. Yeah, I went as a passenger up at Rawton Airfield, and got taken round a sort of test track there, and it's just like eyes start going to the back of your head. It's like, unbelievable.
Yeah. And Williams designed it as well, I think, didn't they? Which I didn't realise until much later on, that the design.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated, and the story was really interesting. And British Leyland and Sammy Nelson and Tony Pond, and all these amazing names involved in it. And but that's what I think, if you are we allowed to call ourselves petrol heads still? I think we are.
I think we are. Yeah, I think we are. I think we've got probably about 5 years.
Yeah. Well, we'll just be synthetic petrol heads. But there's something about it. There's something about the sight, the sound, the smell, all of that, and it does what drugs do. It creates dopamine. It gives you a bit of a buzz.
You can get one smell of something or a sound, and it'll take you instantly back to a circuit you're at, or somewhere you're at, or something you're watching even, and you're instantly there, and it's just memory.
Well, that's why I pour a well-known brand of oil in my mower, so that when I mow my lawns, which is a pretty soul-destroying job, I get that smell of Goodwood as I mow along.
Good grass, technically.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can remember taking my daughter to a hill climb. I think we took her to Gurston Down years ago, and there was a short wheelbase Audi Quattro Sport on the line, and the noise and everything, and she was shaking, and I said to her, "You okay?" And she was just beaming, and I think there's more to going and watching motor racing than just watching the motor racing. There's that whole immersive thing with the sound and the smell and and you're standing next door to a DFE that's ticking over it. Just amazing.
Yeah, and then you've got the modern Grand Prix engines that are playing Happy Birthday or God Save the Queen. They're bad, Renault were doing it, weren't they? And
those aren't the modern ones though. Those are the older ones.
I should say,
V8s, V10s, V12s.
Correct way. Yes.
Yeah. I took my son to Silverstone this year, to the practice day on the Thursday or Friday, I can't remember which day it was. And we saw the cars going round, all the current cars going round, and then they had all the historic stuff going round. And he just looked at me, and I said, "What?" And he said, "What are they?" I said, "Well, those are Formula One cars, but they're the older ones. But they sound so cool." That's a 9-year-old. I mean, I was talking to someone the other day, and he said that the thing is now is that you can stand in hospitality at an F1 weekend and be able to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the day you couldn't.
Yeah, I went to a mini fest once, and they were racing. There was a one make series for Audi R8s, and the JCWs are there. So I think it's when they just really first started, and you couldn't hear at the back of the Grand Prix circuit. You couldn't hear the R8s, but you could hear the minis. And it was just, oh.
Yeah.
And then you could just hear them just coming, and you think, oh yeah, they're going to come down, you know, and you're, yeah, it's definite.
Well, I was up at Donington last weekend before, with the GT Cup, and I mean those things going past. It's like that's what motor racing sounds like. It's just epic. You know, big, loud V8s. It's just like, oh yes, please. Amazing, absolutely amazing. So, yeah, and so my sort of story, I was, in the sort of automotive world for a while, but then I worked in the tyre industry with a company that manufactured tyre repair materials, and it was interesting because I found the science and everything very interesting, but I actually ended up in the clothing industry. I got headhunted by a company that wanted people who had not been in the clothing industry because they didn't want to have all those preconceived ideas. And between us, we built a really interesting, exciting business and had a lot of fun doing it. But there was still that, in the back of my mind, I really want to get it back into it. And I tried really hard, and it's the automotive world the motor racing world is a big family, and it is difficult to get into it. And I was given an opportunity a few years ago to get back into the automotive world, and it's amazing how many people I knew that I'd forgotten that I knew, and it doesn't feel like work, and that is the secret.
That's key to any job, I think, really, isn't it?
He used to say that the secret to success in business is when you work really hard and it doesn't feel like work, and you get paid for it. And that's where I am today. I'm working with a brand that I absolutely believe in, a brand that has got a very clear vision as to where they're going, and they're an absolute delight to work with.
So what would you say were the main differences between Rowe and other oil companies? I mean, I've used many oils, Mobil One, Castrol we've used them all.
Yep.
So what would you say is the main difference between Rowe and everybody else?
The main difference, well, there are a few main differences. If we talk about Rowe as a business, so Rowe is still 100% family owned. There's no venture capital, there's no private equity, which is great. That's
lovely.
I've worked in those environments before, and they've got you. It's return on investment. They announced yesterday that Michael Z is handing over the reins to his daughter Alexandra, and they have a chap, Stefan, who's been with the business for 20 odd years, who is going to be joint managing director. They'll continue to have joint managing director, and Michael is still going to be very much there as an advisory role, but he's got a vineyard, and I think he's going to be focusing on growing wine as opposed to manufacturing oils.
Must be dreadful.
So and they run the business as a sustainable business. Now, sustainability is a buzzword at the moment. Everybody's talking about it. But sustainability isn't just about making ecologically friendly, renewable products, things like that. It's how you run the entire ecosystem of a business. So they look after their staff incredibly well. They look after the planet incredibly well. And they make profit, because every business has to make profit. But it's not putting profit ahead of people and planet. It's getting that balance right.
Yeah. You get more out of people.
Absolutely.
I mean, you appreciate people, you get more out of them. It's common, isn't it? It's common sense. But most big businesses don't see it like that. There
are a few businesses out there that have absolutely embraced the people and planet over profit mentality. many of them have become B Corps, which is that sort of halfway house between commercial business and charity. And brands like Patagonia, they're very well known for looking after people, planet, and everything like that. Where Rowe are, they're manufacturing products that are perceived to be dirty products, so they manufacture them in a way that is the most environmentally friendly way to do it. There is some CO2 emissions that are created, they're unavoidable, so they do buy carbon credits. They have a program, but they use the gold standard program, so it's completely audited. It's a very interesting business to look at, because in a relatively short period of time, they've gone from Michael in his shed in his garden, effectively, with two blending vessels, to what are they, 160 million euro company.
So are they offsetting it as well by growing, forests in Germany, for instance? They bought big waves of land and they're growing trees, or
the small amount of carbon offset that they do is done through an audited way
that's better, actually, because you know where you are then, probably, don't you?
But they've got clean water projects that they run. They're very much into looking after society as well as making a profit. So they sponsor squash, they have involvement with music, football, and obviously they own their own race team, which is quite unusual for an oil company to own a race team. Obviously lots of oil companies partner with race teams, but they actually own a race team, and that is their mobile laboratory.
Because it's mainly 24-hour, isn't it? You were saying to me earlier, we had a little chat, and you were saying it's 24-hour, which again is common sense, isn't it? You're not going to do a sprint that's doing 20 minutes. You're going to do 24 hours and put 50,000 miles on the car, aren't you? And
absolutely. I mean, a 24-hour race equates to approximately 50,000 road miles, and that's how you can stress test things. You can see how things work in a really extreme environment, and they're good at doing it. It's interesting because there were a lot of analogies in the press releases that came out yesterday about endurance racing. And endurance racing isn't just about being the fastest person on the grid. It's about having that strategy. I was with the Fun Cups the other day, and you win or lose as to when you pit, how quickly you pit, and how you do this and and there's a lot of, so the strategy is as important as the racing, and it's a bit like business. You've got to have a plan, you've got to be able to deliver that plan, you've got to have that strategy, and it's not just about being out there and being the fastest, it's about having longevity at the same time.
What's the next step for Rowe? Is it plant-based now, or?
There's a growing range of plant-based products. There's going to be some exciting news towards the end of this year about the product ranges for next year.
Yeah, because we'd like to use plant-based in the Mini. We'd love to use it, and our builds preferably. We'd love to use it because I think it's going to be the way it goes, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that, to get an OEM approval on a non-approved product is very expensive. So as far as getting a plant-based product with a VAG or a BMW or a Mercedes approval is going to be nigh on impossible. It's lots and lots of euros are required to do that. However, on the motor racing side of things, there are opportunities there. I think it's common knowledge that the M4 has been run on plant-based engine and gearbox oils for some time now, and it's been very successful, and it works very well. But when you look at what applications there are on some of the plant-based hydraulic fluids, so forestry, farming,
building industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And so they've got a range of plant-based hydraulic fluids that we're talking to people at the moment in industry about. They want to move to a more sustainable product because it's being used outside, and they want the biodegradability.
There's nothing worse if you knock something over outside and it's just running into the.
I did a bit of time last year doing a bit of tractor driving on the farm, and every time you take the trailer off and you undo the hydraulic couplings, you get a little bit of hydraulic fluid, and it drips down onto the floor. And at the end of a day, when you've taken that trailer off God knows how many times, how much has it gone down? And, and so if you're in the middle of a field and you're doing that, which we live inside a country, so that you're
going to be
dropping off an empty, picking up a full one, taking that back, dropping an empty, picking a full one. All of that hydraulic fluid's going down into the ground, which can't be a good thing.
No.
So that's the plant-based renewable technologies. All of that is very much on their focus. But every product, regardless of whether it's plant-based, petrochemical, coolant, grease, whatever, every single product that leaves their facility is manufactured sustainably, which means that every element of the manufacturing process has been measured against environmental impact.
A lot of people misunderstand it, I think, don't they? They don't quite get what that means.
Absolutely.
And it's a big thing.
It is a big thing, and it's a case of how is that product manufactured. And when people say to me, why should I buy a Rowe product as opposed to another brand, I say, well, you're going to buy that product regardless. Yeah? So isn't it better to buy something that the manufacturing process has not had an impact? It's net zero. Yeah, that leaves, as far as manufacturing, that's net zero. That's not the same with that brand or that brand or that brand. So why not do it? Why not do your best with what you've got? And there are some people that embrace that, but there's some people that just price, and that's just the way of the world. Those are the sort of fundamentals. So the structure of the business, as far as not having venture capital, private equity, that side of things, and then the way that the products are manufactured and the way that the business is run, which is it's really interesting, and I find it fascinating when talking to people about the difference between, why does someone buy a product? Either they're manipulated into buying it, or they're buying it because someone has actually bought into that brand and believes in what that brand's about. Apple iPhones, when they launched the iPhone 15 the other day, there were queues of people wanting the first one. And they're really expensive. And you can get, an Android phone that probably behaves exactly the same, maybe better, but it's, you always get those people who want to have the latest, want this, but they bought into that brand. And that's what we're trying to achieve, is explain what this company is all about and why people should be buying into this. And whether we like it or not, the world is changing. Sustainability, renewables, synthetic fuels, EVs, all of that. But we have to change. We have to do things differently, and there will still be a requirement for lubrication, whether we like it or not. I'm speccing up some stuff at the moment, and there's a great big electric motor, but there's also a differential, and there's also greases, and so. We don't want to dig any more stuff out the ground, and there are other ways that we can do this, but whilst we're discovering ways to do things differently, let's do our best by buying something that is having the least amount of effect on the environment as possible.
Very interesting.
So how many boxes did you want?
You say 5 litres? No, we're going to use it in a build. I mean, we've got no end of builds that we're going to be doing, and I want to use it in that, and I'm going to be building kit cars and all sorts as well. So I'll be using it. It's gonna.
Well, we've got a comprehensive automotive range.
I mean, what I like about it, you haven't got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of products.
No.
You've got the essentials. And they cover various different different things.
Well,
and that's all you need. You don't need hundreds and hundreds of different variations.
Absolutely.
It's just,
And it was funny. So Steve, who's our technical guy, when I first showed him the Rowe catalogue, he was going, "So, this is great. They've they've rationalised things." It's like,
that's a good word for it, actually.
And I mean, there's a comprehensive range for automotive. There's a comprehensive range for motorcycle, and they're continuously looking at developing products. they're manufacturing engine oil, gearbox oil, coolants, brake fluids, greases, which is those are the bits that we all need. There are some additives that they've developed as well, which are predominantly service additives, so a diesel cleaner, fuel injection, petrol fuel injection cleaner, and then intake cleaning sprays, octane boost. Probably want some of that, won't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the range is tight, and it's manageable, because being the importer distributor, we've obviously got to make sure that we've got enough stock and we've got the right stock, and that's always a challenge. I mean, we had an initial small order with them, and we're running out of products. That we're placing a new order with them very soon. But it's that balancing act, because you've got to be able to cater to all the people that you're supplying, and you've got to be able to deliver quickly. We live in a world now where everybody is used to being able to place an order and it's delivered tomorrow. Yeah. I mean, around here you can probably get same day delivery, can't you, on some stuff?
Yeah. So Amazon especially is just literally in the box that morning.
So we have to, as a business, we have to look at what do our customers want, and whilst we're still finding distributors, we've got to be able to get as close as we can to be able to, if a customer wants a box of this, we need to get them out as quickly as possible. So we're doing next day delivery on orders. It's more challenging with drums, and we're managing our customers quite well on that, so they give us a bit more time on that. But we want to be the best at what we do. We believe we've got the best range of products.
It's a good oil.
And and we've got the right story, and so the rest of it's logistics. Yeah. It's having the right product and be able to get it out the door.
Right. So the champion, you concentrate more on championship sponsorship now. You don't sponsor single people now.
Yeah, we made the decision at the beginning of the year which is
sensible, isn't it?
You have to say, if you sponsor an individual, that means that the other 25 people in that championship you have to say no to. And if they rock up at race 1 and end up in the wall, it's like, right, that's over. So what we want to do, I mean, it's one of these, it's a balancing act. We've got involved in some championships this year, and that's the way that we're going to move forward. We're supporting Britcar this year. We're supporting the Calm Trophy. We've put a pricing policy together, so if a team wants to fly the flag for us and put Rowe logos on, we'll give them a very good price. We're not just going to sit there and give product out to everybody that asks, because that devalues the product, and we're independent of Rowe. You know, we're not owned by Rowe, we're a completely independent company. So we've got to manage our money and get the best return for the investment that's been put into the business. So if a team wants to support us, we will support them. We'll supply them with some clothing, we'll supply them with, stickers and everything like that, and give them a really good price on the oil. As a way of saying thank you, which everyone that's approached us, and we've done that with, has been delighted. So it's, we'll be looking at what we're doing next year in the next few weeks. So where are we? Approaching the end of October time.
October time is more or less the end of it, isn't it? Arse knockings. Because we follow some drivers. We follow 6 drivers now in the JCWs. Is there anybody you're sort of affiliated with that you think?
Not currently, no. We're sort of riding on Germany's coattails. They're BMW Motorsport partners. They've got 6 drivers driving for them. I mean, Dan Harper, for example, Northern Irish guy, nearly did it. One of my directors and I, we're going out to Spain to watch the last round in Barcelona next weekend. So it's quite, unless we went out and bought an M4 GT3 and started running that in British GT or whatever, which is really expensive. We made the sort of conscious decision. I mean, one of my co-directors owns a race team, and he's been running Rowe products in there. And great success. It's all working really well. So yeah, I mean, we've got lots of conversation to have about next year and what we do, what we don't do, what's worked, what hasn't worked, what we think might work in the future. But the great thing is that we've got a factory team that is a factory team. It's, you know, Rowe Racing is, or as the commentators get told, Rover Racing. It's, you know, they're racing at the peak of European GT racing. Teams in GT Cup, we've got teams in Brick Car, we've got, just trying to think, we've got Gearbox Oil being run in GB4 cars, we've got the Pragas, they're running 100% Rowe.
Yeah, lovely they are.
So it's just finding people that understand what we're doing and embrace what we're doing, and then we say, oh yeah, well, this is interesting, let's work with this. So yeah, we've got some interesting kit out there, and we also, I mean, we're supporting Prescott Hill Climb, so we're their lubricant partner, and they're doing a lot of work on sustainability. And Steve Neal, our technical guy, he only lives down the road, and he's been spending quite a lot of time there. And how can we help develop your sustainability, and you know, and how can we promote this, and how we can do that, and that works. That seems to be working well. So yeah,
Prescott's good.
That's lovely.
Yeah, we're going to have a cargo up there one day. Perhaps a classic Mini next time, I think, when we get the Renault 5 turbo engine in it. And that'd be fun.
Absolutely.
Curtly seats in it.
Well, give me a shout, because I'm only about 35 minutes down the road.
ERA body kit on it. There's a sort of tribute to the ERA. And,
there you go. That's a build to add to the list.
Yeah, it is. Yes, the next one after this, actually, to be fair. And then we're going to do a Metro 6R4 copy. Try and make it four-wheel drive as well, using LDTT stuff, but I don't know quite how that's going to work. But yeah,
interesting. I saw there's a XR3 with a Golf R chassis.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that the other day.
Maybe that could be.
Yeah, it's a bit sacrilege, but yeah, but yeah, that's what we're probably.
Well, you want four-wheel drive, you want reliability, and there's a platform.
No, I mean
work.
for the Escort, it's sacrilege.
Well, it depends whether you like Escorts or not.
No, but that's that's probably going to be an R32 engine in it, actually, to be fair. And I've spoken to somebody else about it, and VW do a rear-wheel drive gear change kit that you can buy to make it mid-engine and change gear.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so
it's quite a heavy lump, that though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So because the 4-pot is quite
I'd like to use
tunable.
I haven't really thought it out properly yet, but it's just just an idea. So I've been sort of fishing for Metros and things like that, and ended up buying a Metro's 1275 turbo engine because it was dirt cheap in bits.
So that's the MG Metro turbo engine. Yeah.
So I ended
didn't
up
they have 6-pot calipers on them?
Oh yeah, I've bought a load of them. I've bought loads of them up. I've bought hundreds of bloody things up because I want to try them on. I don't know what the cast is like or stuff like that on the car, but yeah, I'm going to put them on the classic. That's what the next Mini's going to have on it. I'm going to put those on it.
Yeah, the AP.
AP 4-pots.
Yeah, 6-pots.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah, I've got probably 4 pairs of them.
Fantastic.
And then I'm going to try and figure. I'm going to put a Citroen Saxo disc conversion on the back. I've found a way of doing that, making up our own swing arms and stuff, and then putting the basically off the Saxo on it, because there's thousands, and you just pick them up. Yeah, scrap yards for nothing.
Yeah, because it's quite easy to make things go really fast, but you've got to make them stop as well.
The most important thing is stopping.
Yes.
That's where you can gain a lot of time actually.
Yeah.
If you use it properly. So yeah, that's the theory of that.
Yeah.
That'd be nice with a SADF gearbox in it. Sequential gearbox in it.
Now you're talking.
Now we're talking. Yeah, 75 or a 90. God, that'd be nice. 75. Yeah, that'd be nice. There must be loads of them kicking about for next to nothing now.
I can hear the cogs going round now. Yeah.
Anyway, yes. Right, Jeremy, last little question. Now we've got a standard engine in our car, haven't we? Is there anything we can do to make it really quick apart from using Rowe Oil in it?
Well, obviously, high quality engine and gearbox oil is essential.
Gearbox oil especially.
Yes, yeah. There are very few things that you can do with chemicals to make things go faster. If you're allowed to run an octane booster, you can run an octane booster in there. With a 99 octane, it will give you another probably 2 more Ron runs. But getting a standard engine to go faster without any mechanical interference is really, really difficult. So we're working with this wonderful series at the moment. It's the Calm Porsche Championship, I think that's correct, or the All Porsche Calm Championship. And the Calm bit, CALM, is the Campaign Against Living Miserably, which is an anti-suicide charity. And I just love a weekend with them because these are guys and girls who have built cars in their sheds, and it's proper old school club and racing. Someone breaks something, so yeah, I've got one of those. Get me a new one next week, and it's lovely. It's what I can remember motor racing.
It rolls up. You go having off. Everybody rolls up, and the next minute there's duct tape all over it, and you're out.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. And the One Make series, that I believe is, everybody's on a level playing field, so all these cars are standard. There's a limited amount of modifications you're allowed to do. You can adjust the suspension as far as you can adjust it. You're all supposed to be running the same horsepower. You're all supposed to be on a level, and it's down to you behind the steering wheel.
Weight. I need to lose a lot of weight. That's what that's down to. Well, if they could weigh the heaviest person, the heaviest car, and then put everybody up to that weight, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, but it is good. I think the Minis are brilliant. I absolutely, really do think they're good.
There are some really exciting championships out there at the moment, and I mean, when I look at the sort of the race calendar for a month, there's everything for anybody. I mean, spectator-wise, I think we've got arguably some of the best motor racing in Europe.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. You've got the 750 Club with all theirs, the Saxos and the RGB motorbike kit cars and stuff. It's just, it is just awesome.
And if you don't want to do circuit, you can do hill climb. You've got Prescott, you've got Shelsley, you've got Gersten Down, you've got that whole championship, and there's some bonkers kit running in that. And it's possible to get into motor racing now at a very low budget. The auto testing, which has always been around, and it's that stepping stone as to where you want to go. I was talking to some young drivers recently who want to make a career out of it, but they're not going, we're going to go Formula One, because they know that it's really, really limited. But again, you can make a career out of motor racing. I mean, when I was at college, that didn't really come up. There were no motor racing colleges, there were no motor racing courses. You went and you did motor vehicle engineering or motor vehicle.
You helped out a team at the weekend for nothing.
Absolutely.
Basically, you got your clothing and you got your food, and you just kicked in the back of the lorry, in the back of the truck.
Absolutely, and did a bit of spannering.
Filthy dirt.
Yeah, and loved every minute of it. Yeah,
good days.
Yeah, absolutely. So back to your question, there's very little that you can do. What you want out of this is reliability.
Yeah.
What you don't want is an engine rebuild on a regular basis, because that's very expensive. So when you build the engine, make sure that you use the best quality parts to build the engine in the first place, and make sure that you keep on top of engine oil, gearbox oil, coolant. Make sure that...
Change it regular?
Yeah, it's really difficult. I mean, the Rowe Racing M4 does a 24-hour race without an oil change.
Yeah, same.
So it's like, you've got to balance things up.
Mid-season, then change everything mid-season. Gearbox more than engine, I would have said.
Yeah, but it's keep on top of it, and it's funny because I was talking to someone the other day, and they change their engine oil, gearbox oil every single weekend. But the amount of fuel dilution that they have is off the scale.
Really?
So they have to do that with the engine. I mean, gearbox oil probably less important, but they've just got into that rhythm, and that's what they do. And when you compare a factory M4 GT3 car against a car that someone's built at home, you're not comparing apples with apples. It's making sure that you just keep on top of things, because the more reliable it is, the more what you don't want is anything to break mid-race.
Finish first you've got to finish.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No points for not getting to the end.
No.
So
it's so frustrating when you're just there and then a clutch goes or something. Literally
Absolutely.
1 lap to go. At Snetterton, 1 lap to go. you know, I'm in third place in class, and and the clutch is gone. And then literally the following week is Donington.
Yeah.
There's no way I can get it done for then, and ended up being second in the championship and not winning it again.
Yeah.
So it's just...
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, that was just lack of experience, I suppose, you know, where I should have probably done... Yeah. Well, what it was, I changed into fifth gear, going down the back straight, thinking that I'd help everything, and I think that's what actually did it. If I'd have stayed in fourth and not changed to fifth, you can just...
Isn't hindsight a wonderful thing?
Yeah. Well, I must admit, it's been absolutely fascinating. And the plant-based stuff is just so interesting. It really is, and it's been a joy talking to you again. And your knowledge of motorsport and the love of motor racing is just,
I've got a little bit of knowledge.
Yeah.
Henry, God bless him, he was encyclopedic, and on a different level. But it's passion, isn't it? And if you've got passion, and you can do what you love to earn a living, it doesn't feel like work. You know, I've got a 3.5 hour drive to get back home.
Yeah.
And I'll be talking to people about work on the way home, and you know, that's what I love about this. It's and what we're doing actually with this business is some good at the same time, which is fabulous. So but
I think it's a fabulous product. I mean, I really honestly do. I think it's definitely, you know, and I've used a lot over the years, and I haven't come anywhere near it yet, really. I think, you know, and it's just the whole thing. It just feels right. It doesn't feel.
Yeah. Well, we've got to look after the sport that we love and the cars that we love, and I mean, don't get me wrong, EV is quite exciting.
Yeah.
There's some really exciting stuff going on there, but internal combustion engine, synthetic
fuel. I hope it never
fuel.
goes. I just hope it never goes. I'm scared it's going to, but I mean,
people still ride horses.
Yeah, I mean, the sound of touring cars, the sound of old Formula One cars, it'd just never be the same if it had just gone, that noise.
No, things will change, but it's there's a place for everything, I think, in the future. And now with the latest technology and the advances in technology, it means that we can continue to run the internal combustion engine with synthetic fuel and things like that. So
just more classic racing, won't there?
There's plenty now. It's fabulous. Bring it on. The more the better.
Cortinas and anglers. Well, thank you very much, Jeremy. It's been a pleasure again.
Thank you for having me.
Love meeting
absolutely
you.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and we can't wait to use your stuff. It'd be really good.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
I'm going to have to stop there, Mark, because I forgot what I was going to ask next, because it got waylaid.
It's a shame it's not the middle one, isn't it? Because then you can just
do it all the time anyway, don't I, Mark?
Bloody hell, San Pellegrino as well. Quality.
It would have been Bardwire if I'd got the money, but I haven't.
Not brilliant.